This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRF Race of the Day for Wednesday, October the 27th. Let's take a look at the field for race number 7 at Keeneland. It's an overflow field of fillies and mares going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf, 2 other than allowance. And you can download free formulator past performances on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them and handicap along with me. It's a wide open race. I'm going to be looking for a little bit of a price. Morning line favorite, the one more than unusual, as we take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, is expected to make the lead, and I'm not sure what to make of that, because More Than Unusual does have tactical speed. She probably is fast enough to make the lead, but she is not a speed horse by any means, and I wouldn't be surprised if her jockey Florent Giroux would love to just break, let someone else get to the front, sit the pocket while saving ground, and get a clean chance in the stretch. If More Than Unusual doesn't make the lead, however, who's going to do so? The 3 Timeless Rose has a little bit of early speed. She went fast in the early stages of a similar allowance race in her most recent start. The 5 Jezebel's Kitten has been on the lead, although she came from last at Kentucky Downs the last time we saw her. 3 Flamingos, the 6 has speed, albeit at longer distances. Maybe the 11, Wait for Nairobi, blinkers off, she's fresh, switching surfaces, can show speed. I'm not sure who's going to make the lead. If you put a gun to my head, I'd say the 3 Timeless Rose might make the front. I just have a feeling they're not going to be going very fast. As for More Than Unusual, in many ways she's the horse to beat, but beware. We haven't seen her since late April, when she was the beaten favorite in a 2 other than optional claimer at Churchill Downs. She faced a good group that day. The winner came back to take the Grade 3 Mint Julep with a 92 Beyer speed figure, and More Than Unusual was traveling very sweetly in the second flight, just off that fast pace, got to the outside, looked like she had clear aim, and she just didn't fire in the stretch with a lot of verve. Now we have to deal with the layoff for trainer Brad Cox. Now, this filly has run well fresh in the past. She draws an advantageous inside post position. Her tactical speed should have her in a good spot heading into the first turn. There are a lot of things to like about More Than Unusual. A very logical contender. I'm not sure she has such an edge over this field that I would take much less than the 5-2 on her morning line. The 2 is El Que Du Jaguarete, who was offered for a $40,000 tag last time out at Colonial and was the beaten favorite. She ran pretty well, and that field was okay. The 4th place finisher came back to win a restricted stakes race at Delaware Park with an 82 Beyer speed figure. Now, this mare took some time to change leads in the stretch. Once she did so, she leveled off, came with a strong run, just missed by less than a length. Keep in mind, however, she was listed as a vet scratch at Laurel Park on September the 25th. It's been over a month since that race. She also has some tactical speed. Corey Lannery aboard at 10-1 on the morning line. The 3 is Timeless Rose, rock-solid Indiana bred. She made the lead in a similar spot at Keeneland 2 weeks ago. She carved out a solid pace over a wet turf course, and she tired late. And right now I wonder if that's the best she can do. Maybe she can get to the front here and won't have to exert as much energy. I do wonder, however, if this spot is just a bit tough for her. 30-1 on the morning line. The 4 is Pythoness. Pythoness exits a heat at Kentucky Downs, just really didn't fire that day, didn't break, tried to rush to get into the race. The pace was solid, she tired. Start before that at Arlington Park off a short layoff, didn't do too much, but in against 2 tough horses, the Grade 3 Modesty. Her 2 prior races were good, albeit against much weaker competition. Pythoness has to prove it, and she is a late runner. She may need a little bit more pace than what's expected in this race on Wednesday. Jezebel's Kitten is the 5. We're going to watch Jezebel's Kitten most recent race at Kentucky Downs, a 2 other than. She was the beaten favorite for the 3rd consecutive time. We see her on the far outside coming with the run. She was last early, swung to the outside, came with a kick, was only beaten a length in that race. And the winner of that race is a sharp horse. Came back to win a 3 other than at Keeneland with an 89 Beyer speed figure. So Jezebel's Kitten is in very good form right now, and she's versatile. She's been on the lead in some of her races. She's come from off of it in some of the others like we just saw. It'll be up to Sophie Doyle to see how we play with Jezebel's Kitten on Wednesday. 7-2 on the morning line. First time for this barn. She was conditioned by Brad Cox for her last start. 3 Flamingos is the number 6, and 3 Flamingos has been contesting longer distances recently. She was in the ladies marathon run at Kentucky Downs last time out, and I just think she was in a little bit too tough. The fourth place finisher came back to run second in the Grade 3 Dowager with a 91 Beyer speed figure. Her prior race with Lasix, she'll get Lasix again on Wednesday, was in a non-winners at 2 other than at Churchill Downs going 9 furlongs, and she was part of a very solid pace. She was only beaten 5 lengths at the wire. That was a pretty good group of horses, and she earned a 75 Beyer speed figure that day. I think getting the Lasix back is going to help, and I have a feeling that maybe cutting back to a mile and a 16th, she can sit in the second or third flight and come with a solid run. 8-1 on the morning line. Let's watch the 7, Ask Bailey's most recent race. They stretched her all the way out to a mile and a half, and she got a very nice ride, and she ran well. She's down towards the inside here. She's just going to flatten out a little bit late, but go back into those formulator PPs and click on the comment line, watch the replay. She didn't break very well. She saved ground in mid-pack. She darted to the inside, passing the stands the first time to get pocket position, had to wait an upper stretch, and then was just a little bit tired after being late to change leads. Maybe that distance was just a smidge far for her. She is a stakes winner at a mile. I just wonder if there's going to be enough pace to set her up, but she's in sneaky good form, and she can win this race at 15-1. Barista is the number 8, 8-1 on the morning line with Julien Leparoux. Lasix back on for Barista, who drops out of 4 consecutive stakes races. We haven't seen her since June, when she faced 2 next out winners in the Tepin Stakes. Not only 2 next out winners, but the runner-up Toby's Heart would come back to run 3rd in the Grade 3 Lake George at Saratoga with an 87 Beyer before winning the Music City Stakes at Kentucky Downs with a 92. So that was a good group. She really didn't do much running in that race, but she was second in the Edgewood 3 starts back, a Grade 2 at Churchill Downs at a mile and a 16th. Barista has a couple of races on her form that make her interesting. The layoff, though, somewhat of a concern for me. Bella Gamba is the 9, and there's some angles here for Bella Gamba. Blinkers off, and she's making her second start off about an 8-month layoff, so I won't fault anyone who said, forget about Bella Gamba's North American debut where she finished 6th at Colonial Downs. She's going to be a lot sharper for this race. At Colonial, she basically saved ground in mid-pack and just didn't fire on home, and she had the misfortune to catch a hot horse. Tuned is on fire recently in the Mid-Atlantic area for Graham Motion. She would exit that race to win the All Along in Maryland with a 90 Beyer. This horse has shown some pretty good form in South America, Group 1 winner in Argentina, and eligible to improve in the second start of the form cycle. Number 10 in here is Oxum Power. Oxum Power goes dirt to turf. I guess ran okay 2 starts back at Indiana Grand. There was no pace for her. They went the half in almost 50 seconds for that mile race, and Oxum Power tried to rally from last, and she actually did quite well to be 3rd. The runner-up came back to finish 3rd, and then I think 2nd in a couple of $16,000 starter allowance races. I just think this race might be a little tough for her. You want to look for a 50-1 shot that's not out of the question. How about the 11? Wait for Nairobi. This horse was a stakes winner sprinting over the poly track at Turfway Park 2 starts back, and I thought she looked really good doing it. Tracking 3-4 wide, sweeping widest, turning for home, and getting away from that field. They stretched her out in the Bourbonette Oaks in her next start. It was a pretty fast pace and a solid field. The 3rd finisher came back to run 3rd in the Grade 3 Soaring Softly on Turf in New York with an 81 Beyer speed figure. Wait for Nairobi's going to get Lasix. The blinkers are coming off. She is fresh, and she seems to be showing some strong local workouts at Keeneland. Is she going to be as effective on turf as synthetic? Remains to be seen. She's raced once on turf, and she ran to a good horse, going good, and she was 2nd that day sprinting. The 12 is Vividly for trainer Brendan Walsh. Let's watch Vividly's last race at Belmont Park on October the 1st. I thought she ran very well, finally getting through that non-winners of 1 other than condition. There was not a lot of pace on in this mile and an 8th race. You see Vividly on the outside, and she's just going to dig down, and she's just going to get her nose down on the wire ahead of Single Soul, a horse that would come back to flatter this effort somewhat by winning a 1X of her own with an 82 Beyer speed figure. Nice to see Vividly get to the winner's circle after some frustration at this 1 other than level in her first few starts in the state. To me, this is a wide open race. I do respect More Than Unusual as we take a look at my top picks. I do have her 2nd. I want to give the 6-horse Three Flamingos a chance at 8-1. I'm willing to forgive the last race against tough horses at Kentucky Downs. I think she was part of a fast-paced 2 starts back. She was overmatched against Warlike Goddess 3 back in the Bewitch. You go back to that race 4 starts back at the Fairgrounds off a layoff. She looked strong sitting close to the pace. I just hope a mile and a 16th isn't too short. I'll go with her. 6, 1, 11, and 9. Race 7 at Keeneland, your Wednesday DRF race of the day. Best of luck.